Hello everyone, and welcome back. The NFL Draft Combine is going on right now, so I thought why not give my top landing spots for some of the top prospects in this upcoming NFL Draft. We're just going to do a couple today. If you guys enjoy this video, I'll make sure to do a couple more prospects, tell you where I think would be a great landing spot for them. Without any further ado, let's get straight into the video. Alright, so we're going to do 6 players here today, and it takes into account just my personal preference where I think these guys could really succeed and who I think could end up drafting them, like based off the draft order. We're going to start out with Bryce Young here, and my number 3 landing spot for Bryce Young is the Carolina Panthers. I think I could really see him trading up to 1 and trying to draft him, or just trading up to 2, 3, 4, trying to jump ahead of the Colts to take Bryce Young. But that does lead to my number 2 spot for Bryce Young to land, which is in Indianapolis. I would prefer to see Bryce Young in Carolina, but Carolina's going to have to do a lot to get Bryce Young, while Indy's already picking top 4. So Indy has a lot more ways to get Bryce Young than the Panthers do, which is why I put Indy above them. But out of everyone on this list, I would like to see Bryce Young land in Carolina, but it is the most unrealistic. And at 1, obviously, it's the Houston Texans. There's no other, really, scenario for this. And now we're going to move on to C.J. Stroud. And all we have to do here is change Bryce Young's name to C.J. Stroud, because I have the exact same list. Same 3 teams, same order, because whoever gets drafted first overall will go to either the Texans or Colts, and whoever doesn't go first overall will go to the other team. So CJ and Bryce Young, one's going to Houston, one's going to Indy. That's most likely what's going to happen. So I have the same 3 teams, same order for both of them. Alright, next guy we have up is going to be Will Anderson. Now, Will Anderson, I think, is the best defensive prospect in this draft. I think most people think and know he's the best defensive prospect in this draft. So, my top 3, they're not going to be quarterback-needy teams because they're obviously going to go quarterback. But it's going to have to be teams drafting probably top 5, which all 3 of my teams are. Coming in at number 3, we have the Seahawks with the 5th overall pick. I think he would work great in Seattle, but their odds of getting him are pretty low with them being down at pick number 5. I assume he will be the first defensive player off the board and first non-quarterback player off the board. So Seattle would either have to get really lucky or trade up to get him. Coming in at number 2, we have the NFC West rivals, the Arizona Cardinals. They are up a little bit higher at pick 3, so they really have a good shot at getting Will Anderson, but they're not my number 1 spot for him, because where I'd really like to see him land is Chicago. If he went to Chicago, I think that'd be really cool, really help that Bears defense a ton, which they need. But they also need to look towards getting Justin Fields' help, which is why I think they might not go this route. And if they trade the number 1 overall pick, the only way they're going to be able to get Will Anderson would be trading down just 1 spot with the Texans probably, and I just don't know if that's going to happen. But I would prefer to see Will Anderson in Chicago. Next up, we have Jalen Carter. Now, this is a little controversial one because of everything that's happened over the past couple of days with him, but I'm still going to do rank him because I still think he should be drafted pretty high. This probably will be forgiven even if it should or should not. He's going to play in the NFL. He's going to be drafted high still, I believe. But coming in at number 3 again is going to be the Seattle Seahawks. Very similar to Will Anderson. Very high defensive prospect, but they're sitting at 5, so the chances of getting him are a lot lower than some of these other teams. Coming in at number 2 is the Chicago Bears. They're not number 1 this time. I'm guessing, I assume you can guess who's number 1. But I think the Bears would rather have Will Anderson than Jalen Carter. And I just don't think Jalen Carter is as good as a fit for the Bears as he is for the Cardinals. Cardinals needing to fill holes left by J.J. Watt, and Jalen Carter could really help them do that. And I think he just worked great in that Cardinals system. And yeah, if he gets drafted there, I think that would be great for him, great for the Cardinals. on to the next player. Next player up, our first offensive non-quarterback, Bijan Robinson. He is probably my favorite skill position player in this draft, unless you consider quarterback skill positions, but you know what I mean. Best non-quarterback in this draft, offensive non-quarterback in this draft, in my opinion. There are many teams that could use him, but we're going to start with an honorable mention, which is the Carolina Panthers. I'll put them in 3, but they're not actually in 3rd. They're an honorable mention. I think he could work great in Carolina, filling in the gap left by CMC after he was traded. But now coming in at number 3, it is the Philadelphia Eagles. Imagine that offense with Bijan Robinson, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devonta Smith, and Jalen Hurts. That would be unbelievable. Like, you can't stop that. That'd be unstoppable. That would be such a good fit. But I have them at number 3 because while they have a relatively high pick, I just don't really see them going there. Coming at number 2, we have the Buffalo Bills, a team who I think, if he is available when they're up to pick, will go there and they will take him. The question is, will he be available when it comes to their pick? I doubt it, but you never know. They could trade up for him, and I think he'd work great in that Bills offense, similar to the Eagles. Imagine Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox, Bijan Robinson, and Stephon Diggs. That offense would be so good. But coming in at number 1, I think the Falcons will end up taking him. Cordero Patterson, as good as he is, he's getting old. You might have something in that Algier guy or whatever his name is. And I do think he's good, but if you have this option to take Bijan Robinson, you can have that two-headed monster with Alligator Dude and Bijan Robinson. I think you have to do it. So yeah, they're my number 1 team for Bijan Robinson. On to our final player and my favorite player. Our final player for today is the reason I made this video, because I wanted to talk about him. Anthony Richardson. He is one of my favorite prospects in this draft, but people have to be careful. His stock is shooting up so much that I'm worried he's going to be overdrafted and thrown in an awful spot for him that he's not going to succeed. So these are my 3 top landing spots for him, and they're not all super quarterback needy teams, because that's not where he should go. He might have the most talent in this draft out of all the quarterbacks, but he is the least pro-ready, which is why he needs to go to one of these 3 teams, in my opinion. Coming in at number 3, the Minnesota Vikings. If he could sit behind Kirk Cousins and learn from him for a year or 2, and then they put him in that system with Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, I think that would work great. But again, gotta sit behind Cook for at least 1 year before you put him in there. Coming in at number 2, the Seattle Seahawks, if they re-sign Geno. Big if. They have to re-sign Geno to do this. Start Geno next year. Richardson sits, learns from Geno, comes in the year after that, performs at a super high level with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker. That would be awesome. But they aren't my number 1. My number 1 is the Detroit Lions. I think if he went to Detroit would have possibly the brightest future in the NFL. Because he could sit behind Jared Goff. Like these other 2, all 3 of these teams, the plan has to be he doesn't play this year. He sits behind one of these veterans, learns, just develops. That's the big thing about Richardson. He has so much talent, but he's not there yet. He needs to develop, and that's why I think he needs to go to one of these 3 teams with solid weapons that would surround him, give him a ton of help, and it would really boost these teams' future, which is why I think he needs to go to one of these places. But those are my list for my 6 players. If you did like this video, you want me to do some more players, drop a comment down below of what player you want me to have landing spots for. If you want me to do it for free agents too, I will happily do that. But that's all I got. If you guys did enjoy this video, please like, subscribe. We're so close to 100 subscribers. I'll see you guys all next time. Peace out.